Hey everyone, Sam here. While I'm recording this, it's actually end of 2021, so we are close to transition to 2022. And I just thought like, hey, maybe it's a good occasion to just do a quick retrospective. I have been with startups for a while, for like 5, 6 years, most of them in marketing positions. And from time to time, there were like people asking me like, hey Samuel, was it a right decision you made back then in 2015 when you transitioned to a startup? So I was like, hey, maybe that's actually a good point to do something like a retrospective to think of, hey, was that actually a good move or not? So quick introduction, who am I? So that's actually my first video on YouTube. So I'm Sam, 32 years old. I'm based in Germany, and I also grew up here, etc. Went through the school education, etc., qualification, work experience so far. Have approximately like 7 to 9 years of working experience in total. Yeah, so quick summary of my, let's say, journey so far. So I in 2010 I did traineeship. I started doing like a traineeship at a German company. So traineeships are a bit different to, let's say, US known traineeships. We are also attending like a business school where you do not get like a university degree. It's something between like college and university. While, let's say, being with a certain company for like 2.5, 3 years, we kind of get trained on a specific job. And in my case, it was like industrial management. So I was working with an industrial company. They were like engineering like oil and gas plants, like energy sector. Have been there after I finished the traineeship, spent there another 2 years until like summer 2015. Where there was like overall deflection of the business. So basically the business was decreasing, etc. And I was basically being confronted by the fact that, hey, Samuel, you might be it might be necessary to change your job role a bit for an undetermined time. So in that case, I would be kind of like an assistant. And I don't know why, but I was like, no, I don't want to be like an assistant. That's not what I was looking for. I was also doing my part-time studies in media and communication, because I already was looking into like, hey, I actually want to do something in regards to marketing, etc. And yeah, and back then, so while doing those studies, there was a lecture actually educating the students about entrepreneurship and startups, etc. And I don't know why, but it really caught my attention. So I was like, hey, maybe that's actually a good point to transition to a startup. So in 2015, in that summer, I had some remote calls while I was on holiday. So I was just spending my summer holidays in Portugal, and I had those conversations. And then there was like a German startup which was doing like food delivery, so delivery for restaurants, etc. And I just got that job like junior key account manager. So basically, I was from that point on taking care of a certain amount of restaurants. It's kind of like a portfolio, and I was basically managing those in terms of like business KPIs and how they can improve their business while operating on our marketplace, offering their dishes to the wide variety of customers online via the app, etc. Um, but that was pretty interesting, right? Because I will probably showcase that chart here, because I also did like a quick reflection over those years in terms of like, hey, was that a good move in terms of salary specifically, right? Because back in 2015, I basically was fine with the fact that starting that new job at that startup was implying a decrease of my salary of 20%. And I was like, okay, 20% is actually pretty huge, right? It's something that you actually can kind of feel, that's tangible. That number of 20%, it's something that you will really notice. And I was like, okay, but Samuel, just take it as a learning curve, right? So in terms of having that money in your pocket, you basically are directly investing that money that you're not gaining through salary, but you're investing that capital in your knowledge. So 2015, I had that dip of 20% in salary, and it took me approximately like 2 years. So while I was at that startup, I was still finishing my part-time study, so getting my bachelor degree, and it took me like 2 years to get back on that, let's say, normal growth rate, and matching back again my previous salary versus like a normal linear growth, right? Like you take like your salary and then you just think of like, okay, each year it should basically increase by like, I don't know, 5% or something, which is already above average, to be fair. Um, But then again, I think that was like really remarkable in that time. Like those during those 2 years, I met amazing people. I learned a lot also about myself, to defend my own position, right? How to, let's say, pitch things, getting more authority, awareness for myself, etc. So I think it was really, really great time that I spent there with all the ups and downs. That's for sure. But again, what was really remarkable to me was like that. Then I switched again, like 2.5 years. Have been with that startup. Then I got into a French startup, which was actually pretty cool in 2018. By that moment, I was able to, first of all, I switched from B2C, so consumer products, to B2B, like from business to business perspective. And that was pretty interesting, right? It was also software, right? So from food and logistics towards like software, and we all know that software is paid pretty well. In that specific moment, I can still recall all the job interviews I was having at that time. That was pretty remarkable because all of those companies were asking like, "Hey, you have been with that company. Can you reflect on that? What experience did you made, etc." Looks like that you have like an engaging profile, right? And that was really like a positive affirmation of like, okay, Samuel, you did the right decision back then, although your salary was lower. Regardless of that, it was really a good experience that you made, and that's why it's now paying off, right? And that was really cool because again, as when you just look at that graph, you will notice that from that point on, I was basically above that linear growth rate of 5% per year salary, and I'm really confident that that was exactly a good moment in time, right? Again, it might be a bit different for you. Maybe you are confronted with the same situation. Maybe you're thinking of, hey, should I switch my job? Oh, that job sounds super compelling, super interesting. There's a lot of benefits that I can actually that are tangible to me. But on the other hand, I don't know, salary it's actually worse than before. Should I do that, etc. And as long as, again, that really depends on your character. But for me personally, I think it was really something that I was just realizing that I was still not satisfied with my own growth and all the things that I learned so far. So I was just thinking, okay, whatever, right? Whatever, because in the end, it was also, I actually told myself, like, hey, Samuel, even if it just takes like 6 months, don't care about that because I think it will be worth it. You will learn a lot and you will have that steep learning curve that you were missing, etc. So depending on your character, it might actually be like a really great experience that you might make, right? So just think of like, okay, I'm exchanging basically, I'm getting less salary, but therefore there are other advantages that I'm not able to monetize. I'm not able to quantify them into money. It's something that is more in terms of like your personal growth, your knowledge, etc. Maybe even your network. For example, in my specific case, all of those people that I worked with at that time, like from 2015 to early 2018, those people are having amazing careers at the moment, right? They are developing so fast. It's totally remarkable, and just still having with these people ongoing conversations, right? Just talking with them from time to time, exchanging, etc. I think that's something that people might actually underestimate. Although we all maybe already aware of, let's say, LinkedIn, etc., those social networks, but having that kind of strong network, like a inner circle of contacts that you are nurturing, right? That you are having conversations with. So in summary, from in 2015, I made that decision to quit my corporate job, which was oil and gas industry. Was pretty good paid, right? I was just getting like, I don't know, like 3K gross salary, 3K around that time. I did that dip, which was hard. I basically endured that dip for like 2 years, but then it paid off. And to be fair, at that time, for like a single household, it was still okay. But then I really realized, okay, it was really paying off, and it is still paying off, right? So because that position basically grant me access to further positions, right? And also within those 2.5 years, I basically transitioned from key account sales oriented position to a marketing position. My path towards like marketing and more marketing related positions that I'm actually now taking care of. So that was pretty cool. Again, just here to encourage you, if you are, maybe, I don't know, maybe you are watching this video, you are just curious about like, hey, is it worth it to work at a startup? Maybe also from a European perspective, because it might be super different from the US market, maybe the Asian market, etc. But I think the European market is pretty good. It's pretty impressive in terms of growth, etc. So again, maybe it's something that's helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I'm actually wanted to do more videos about, let's say, my personal development, also talk about marketing. Yeah, so that's my first video on YouTube. I hope you like it. Otherwise, just let me know. I hope it was comprehensive to you. Again, English is just not my first language. It's my third language actually. So please bear with me. But I really hope that you enjoyed that video, and maybe we see each other in the next one. Peace